Welcome back everybody to Cone Racing League after the 1 week delay due to the update. Last Monday we were in a difficult position due to everything not being set up. But anyways, how are we all doing? My name is ILT Indigo and next to me is KXI.
Yes, welcome back everybody. Yeah, we had a week of no racing and that's never much fun, but back here in Silverstone for, is it round 9, round 10 this week, Jamie?
I think it's round 9 mate, I think it is anyways, but yeah, British GP,
Stuff like
welcome.
that.
Welcome Kalen and welcome Nacho and welcome Craig to the stream. Hopefully you're both doing alright. And yeah, nice to see you in the stream as well. And we've got 15 drivers tonight, so not the turnout we really would have wanted, but anyways, we've still got 15 drivers here, so hopefully these guys can put on a show. And we've got the multiplayer cars in fact as well before the actual F123 sorts themselves. Even McConey, hopefully you're doing alright. Also McConey, news for him as he joined IRT, so nice to see him in the server and see what he can offer towards the team too. But anyways, we're here for CRL. Last time out we were in the Middle East at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and we saw a great race with Glowstick and Basil Fox. Many people thinking that Glowstick was going to win the race, but when that safety car came out he opted to stay out. Basil Fox pitted onto a brand new set of softs and was able to hunt down Glowstick. Had to get rid of some obstacles in the way, but when he caught up to Glowstick, he overtook him around the outside and went on to win the race as well. So that helped him in the championship extend his lead 28 points ahead of TG Palmer in P2 and King Panda in P3. Palmer is 28 points behind because he lost a huge chunk of points in Abu Dhabi. He could have finished in P4, but Polish man had other things in his mind and demoted him down a few spots. So a lot of work to do for Palmer tonight if he wants to make amends in the championship. And he said it's over, but it's not over till it's over. Is it, Kalen?
No, absolutely. I myself have been in championship fights that go down to the wire, and yeah, plenty of races left, and you never know what's going to happen. Anybody can pick up DNF here and in league racing on this game as well. So yeah, everything's played for.
Yeah, Palmer and Basil Fox have had their own misfortunes. I remember Basil Fox retiring the 2 Grand Prix, also the Canadian Grand Prix where he made contact with Sofian, and also Palmer's had his own struggles as well, along with King Panda too. So all 3 of them in the championship are here, thankfully tonight. So the championship continues and no one will lose points. I know Sofian is also here as well. He won at the Canadian Grand Prix, so he's also looking interested, but he's a bit farther behind than he would have wanted to be after being absent in the last few races too. So I wasn't helping his case at all. But I want ball with Craig then as we head into the former Turnable 1 as it was back in like 2009. I think it was the last time we saw this layout, or 2008. It could have been one of those two, but I can't exactly remember. But I remember those times where we started on the grid and it was great race all the way from Cops all the way down to Stowe as Craigo negotiates Maggots and Beckett's. It's a 3.1 for Craigo in that middle sector as he heads down on the Wellington Straight, approaching about 335 kilometers an hour, about 210 miles an hour as we head through Stowe. And he had to downshift into 6th gear there, and he took a lot of curb on the edge too for good measure, picked up a bit of dirt on his tyres, so that would have helped him. A lot of understeer into the final 2 corners, so Craigo there suffering a bit on his first lap. His first lap is a 26.8 with more to come from the McLaren driver there, so it'll get a bit confused because obviously we're used to saying the Mercedes driver, the Haas driver, as Eisen picks up a 5-place grid penalty for a collision actually, so it's not a blocking penalty, it's a collision, so that's not good for him at all.
Yeah, I did see who that I was with. A little bit difficult to spot which driver is which, obviously with the new using the multiplayer cars, but yeah, that's certainly not ideal. There was a big kerfuffle with that in Tier 3 in Canada with an unfair 5-place grid penalty where things got restarted. So let's hope for no more drama like that this evening.
Yeah, so the driver made contact with Ruben. I believe Ruben was on his flying lap, and you can see that Eisen's on his out lap, so I presume that Eisen might have got in the way of his teammate Ruben, and both Ferraris actually made contact with each other, so not good whatsoever for both Ferraris there. One of them's got a penalty and the other one has got damage, so both on the back foot here tonight already. As Glowstick then tops the championships of a 26.4, hoping to go one better than he did in Abu Dhabi where he almost got the victory, but Bazza took away from him at the very last moment of the race as he's quicker than Palmer by a few hundreds in 2nd place, so close between the two TG TGT boys. I don't know why that's difficult to say, only 3 letters. But anyways, those two at the top there, and their teams will be happy with their performances. King Panda is in P3 with a 26.72, so we're just waiting for more drivers to cross the line to start their flying lap. And I think Lozano Zero, back in the AlphaTauri, is set at 26.9 and only 1,000 quicker than Mazel's as well, so that's very close timings between all those guys there. It's incredible to see. Jay Hartnell in the Red Bull has invalidated his lap time. What's Isaac doing? He's coming around Brooklyn's now, and he picks up a 3-second time penalty, a 5-place grid penalty on his shoulders then, so it won't be looking great for him. The lowest he can start is 15th, of course, so let's see. His qualifying will have to matter a lot in this to make sure he doesn't lose a lot of positions as he makes his way now through Cops into Maggis and Beckett's, and one of the fast flowing corners. Then you break in the third part, slow it down into 7th gear, down into 6th, as you can see there, and it's going to be a 2.6 there in the middle sector. For reference, Craig did a 3.1 in that middle sector, so I'm thinking this lap time is shaping up to be a good one. Let's see where he puts his car in amongst of other drivers there as he makes his way out of Stowe and now into the final 3 corners at Vale. Let's see how he takes it. It can be very difficult with traction with the tyres. We're quite hot at this stage in this last part of the track. He makes his way towards the line now at 26.4.
Yeah, a decent lap there, and super close to glow stick as well. So, yeah, a good lap as you mentioned. But Jim, I have a question for you. What did you prefer, the old Silverstone layout or the current Silverstone layout?
Good question, actually. I never actually thought about this, but growing up, I've been used to the new Silverstone layout. I've not really had much experience. I remember back in 2008 where Massa kept spinning under the bridge as it was a wet race that day when Hickey covered line and took pole. Lewis Hamilton started 4th. I think I was too young to really acknowledge the old track, and when I started growing up, this is the layout I was more used to. So it's actually a good question.
Yeah.
I've not actually watched many races with the old layout, so I think I need to
That's a
do that.
good
What about
answer.
you?
I do kind of miss the old layout, and I'm thinking back to the COVID season where in Bahrain we used the alternate layout there. I'd be quite interested to see how this year's cars and how this season would go if we used the old layout for a race once. That'd be really fun to see.
Like COVID season 3 years ago, time has flown by ever since then, and we had 2 Austrian races, 2 Silverstone races, and 2 Bahrain races as well, I think, at the time, with a few Italian ones with Mugello, Imola, and Monza. It was incredible that season as well, with old tracks coming back in and new ones being placed as well, such as the Turkish Grand Prix in Istanbul that came back. Portimao, I don't think that's been ever used in Formula 1. It's been used in MotoGP, but it didn't make an appearance, unfortunately, on this calendar. It would be nice because I like that track. Portimao is a really great flowing track, undulating as well, and a lot of elevation changes, an old school circuit in my opinion, and it's great as well for racing and league racing. So I do miss that track at Portimao. It's still in the game, I think, but it's not on the calendar, so we won't see the F1 cars go there this year as well. They did go last year, but the last time they went was 2021 in that Verstappen versus Hamilton season as well. What do you think about Portimao?
Portimao's a great track, as is Mugello as well. I actually would really like to drive that track on the F1 games, so I don't know, maybe in the future we get it, or if it makes a return to Formula 1 calendar. But yeah, Portimao is a good track, and I won there in one of my seasons here at CRL as well, so it's a special place for me.
Special place for me as well, because that's the track I'm the most comfortable at for some reason. I really like the track as well. I had a lot of great pace there in the past. But we'll move on to Cone. It is Chunders in P14 in that middle sector. Hasn't set a lap time, so there's about 6 cars who haven't set a lap time just yet. We can see a few invalidations here and there, some at the exit of Cops and some in the exits of Stowe. So the most common places to invalidate around that section there. As you can see, Chunders negotiates his way around the final 3 corners to place his car into P10. And that's ahead of Ruben, so he gets his car in the top 10, but we've still got 5 drivers yet to set a lap time, including our championship rival down there in P13, Basil Fox, looking to get a time on the board. We haven't seen him circulate around this track just yet. Maybe we have, but haven't been on board with him. It's a 27.3 for Ruben in P10, bearing in mind though. Oh, King Panda then goes to the top of the timing sheets, and it's a 26.0, so he's found 4/10 ahead of Glowstick and Eisen then. So game on between all these drivers, as all of them will gain confidence and find more lap time as the session goes on.
Yeah, great lap there by King Panda. He'd be really looking forward to a strong performance today in Silverstone. And yeah, he goes 4 tenths clear, so he's shaped up big qualifying so far. Baz Fox, championship leader, hasn't set a lap yet, but I believe he is on a lap now. Or he's not, it's still showing as out lap for me. But yeah, not bad quality so far. It's still really tight at the top.
It is as well, but 3 drivers with a 26.4, so all to play for. Dat Roland is coming through Stowe as well. They like to take that inside curve a lot there and lean on the exit too, as you want to do that, but just maximise all the track you can get away with and slow it all down. As you can see, bumping over the curves there's Dat Roland, so definitely not doing the floor any favours, as it's 27.555 for Dat Roland as he puts his car into P12, 3,000 away from Chunders, his nearest rival. So as you mentioned, Basil Fox is on a lap time. He's coming through Maggie Beckett's right now, hasn't set a lap time just yet, so let's see what his middle sector is. It's a 2.8, so I don't think it's going to be challenging the top of the field, I dare say, with the glow stick and Panda, but it could be somewhere between P4 and P5. Oh, it goes deep. Ooh. So we won't find out on that lap time.
Yeah, it looked like he didn't change down gears enough. He took Stowe in gear 7 there, and yeah, just carried too much speed and ran out wide on that exit curve, and track limits are strict around there.
Oh yes, I remember in the older games you can run out wide through Stowe, but not this game. In fact, any track as well, except USA at turn 12. Here comes Jay Hart now into P9. He goes with a 27.0 for him, and Sofian hasn't set a lap time, but he is out there. So let's see what the Frenchman can do in the Aston Martin, the 2.7 in the middle sector. So it might be good enough to challenge second, third, and fourth, but let's see where he goes in this order. So he comes towards the final 3 corners now. Slow it all down, missed the apex a bit there, but managed to get it spot on coming out of turn number 17. Cross the line, it's P2 with a 26.1 then, so found a lot of time in our last sector, and as you can see, Eisen and Palmer are out there, but Glowstick still yet to come out as well as Lozana Zera, 2 seconds down, so she is not on a lap time just yet. A 2-time race winner here in CRL this season in Australia and Japan, after she took a great victory ahead of Palmer twice, but Palmer came back and had a strong showing after that, won some races along the way as well, and now fights for the championship, but needs to keep his head now in the game and try not to think about the amount of points he's lost. He just needs to think about race one by one, the opportunities that could happen in the race as well. I know it's hard to do so being so far behind the championship, but you might as well think about the races now, because even though he's still in the championship, it plays like a psychological effect on your in your head. So you've got to be thinking about one race at a time. That's the only thing you can think about. Just try and maximise everything at the race. Can't afford to have the championship in your head at all, and that's what brings the best out of drivers, to maintain the pressure and soak it up.
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to take each race as it comes. You know, just maximise the result each week. Unfortunately, it is a shorter calendar this season here in CRL, but which isn't ideal, of course. But yeah, you just got to keep going, keep the pressure on, and see where you end up.
On board with Palmer as he makes his way out of Cops. He's the 10th up in the first sector then, so great showing already as he revs it out into Maggie Beckett's there. You want to take it flat out the first 2 parts, but he has a slight lift off there, so I'm not quite sure if he was confident taking that flat out. He's 800s up, so that's not going to be enough to challenge for pole position unless he finds a mighty time in the last sector. So it looks like Maggie Beckett's have cost him from what I've seen so far. Coming out of Stove, oh, just a massive snap of oversteer. I was on board with the front wing, and I could tell the car just had a massive snap.
Yeah, drivers are struggling through that at the moment. That was Palmer and was it Baza? Yeah, they got both invalidated. I didn't see Palmer invalidate them, but yeah, they're running up wide, carrying a lot of speed, and doesn't look like there's a lot of grip there at this stage in the qualifying.
Yeah, with 3 minutes left to go, Baza is on the cusp of I was going to say elimination, but not set a lap time. Both Hassers, however, P11 and P15, not where they want to be. Verona Flash and his teammate Baza No, that's sorry, that's the other Haas of King Panda. So King Panda is the Haas, and so is Verona Flash. It does get confusing sometimes. Craigo and Basil Fox are teammates, but here is the Haas man coming towards Magnus and Beckett right now, carrying a great amount of speed, then downshifting 6th gear on the throttle immediately, using all the curb on the entry. It's a 3.1. It's 2/10 up in this middle sector. It's Verona Flash, so it might put him into the likes of P8 unless he can find more time in this last sector. With 3 minutes left to go, time's running out for Basil Fox. He is out there on a lap time. I can see him now coming towards Magnus and Beckett, so hopefully he can hook it up when he enters Stowe. Looks like it's going to be his kryptonite for some people at Stowe. Here comes Verona Flash across the line. It's a 26.6 for him. 4/10 he found in that last sector, so great improvement there. But what about Basil Fox? Where he struggled last time out, revved it out, well, he carried it through 7th gear, had lots of understeer, but this time around he settles it out. Still in 7th gear, so he might have bottomed out a bit in terms of speed. As you can see, it goes deep at turn 17, now towards 18. Let's see what lap time it is. It's a 26.3, and he goes ahead of Glowstick then, who's on his out lap. So he finally gets a lap time on the board, and he's close to his championship rival. This is spicing up to be a really great race between Panda, Sofian and Basil Fox. Basil Fox, however, in P3, and King Panda out there in P1. We know King Panda hasn't had the best results in the last few races. He's been in some incidents, I dare say, and just struggling, but hopefully he can make a resurgence and just come back strong. And here he is in P1 to prove it. He's currently on a lap time as well, so it's going to be very interesting to see if he can improve, and if he does improve, it could be a 25.
Yeah, he really could. He's right on the cusp there of a high 25, and yeah, good for him. He's leading the qualifying session so far, and yeah, it'll be a good confidence booster for him if he can grab a good result here today.
Yeah, he desperately needs one, does Basil Fox. Maybe not thinking about the championship now, just trying to focus on one race at a time. Hello, random human. Hopefully you're doing alright as we make our way into Magnus and Beckett's. Then let's see how it takes. Oh, too much curve on the entry there, cost him coming out of the last part of Magnus and Beckett's, and unfortunately he is down by 5/10. So King Panda there gets it all out of shape in Magnus and Beckett's, and let's see what he does. Does he have enough time to go back in the pit lane? Or let's find out as he makes his way into the pit lane. No, yes, just a late call there, but yeah, on the back foot then, and his rivals are out there so far, and let's see what they could do. Majority of them on out lap. We've got Glowstick on a flying lap, so as he enters now into Brooklands, went a bit deep there, didn't really connect with the apex, and he might cost him into Luffield as he carries it through 3rd gear. Not out of the corner, we've got a spinner there. I'm not quite sure who that was coming out of Luffield. We'll try and find out. And I can't really tell because of the livery of the car. That was Dat Ronan who spun coming out of Luffield. I didn't want to say any names just in case it wasn't them, because I had my usual suspects to see who. Well, usual subs. Oh, look at Glowstick there, massive oversteer coming out of Magnus and Beckett's. Look, you just carrying it through his 7th gear. The backhand wanted to step out. He's found a 10th in that middle sector despite that mistake then. So he's still on for a decent lap time. I don't think he's going to be near pole unless he can find a huge chunk of time in this last sector. Comes out of Stone now with 0 seconds on the clock. Qualifying has came to a close, and this is everybody's last chance now except Panda, who's retired in the pit lane. And let's see what Glowstick can do. He can come to... Oh, massive mistake there for Glowstick. 600's down as well, so those mistakes will cost him hugely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on board with Palmer here, and he's just gone 2/10 up in the first sector, so he's on a really good lap, and he could be on for pole.
Remember what happened to him down at Stowe, and let's see if he can rectify his mistake. And if he does that, he might find himself challenging the front row. So let's see how he takes it coming out of Magnus and Beckett's. Really nice there, carrying the speed he needs to. He's 3/10 up in this middle sector is Palmer. So all eyes on him to see if he can snatch back pole. Might have to find a bit of time. By the way, Palmer and Lozano Zera have exactly the exact same lap time, 26.4. But now Lozano Zera has set a 26.1, goes into 2nd place. Here comes Palmer coming out the final few corners. Let's see if he can be pole position, and it almost is. Oh, that was so close. At 26.0 there, and he should be happy to be P2 ahead of his championship rival of Basil Fox in P5 then. So what a great show from the guys at the front. Kept it all close and on our toes towards the last stages, but qualifying has came to close now.
Yeah, absolutely, and Eisen is just invalidated his lap as well, so that brings qualifying to an end, I believe. But yeah, decent showing so far from these guys, and goodness me, look at the top two.
incredible. Just the mighty times around here at Silverstone, with all drivers in close proximity of each other. 5.8 kilometer circuit this track is, and to be in close range of each other like that is just phenomenal as well, with the high speed corners, and yeah, just a great track in general. Introduced since 1950, used to be a former RAF base around here, sorry, and ever since then it transferred into the Silverstone Grand Prix, which turns out to be one of the best tracks for racing, I dare say. I am going to say it because it is.
I think we have to be biased in this circumstance, don't we?
It's not because I'm British, it's because it is though. Like, I don't see any other track. Well, I actually can't think of any other track. Suzuka, Brazil's a great track, but in terms of proper racing, Silverstone's the one to go to. We've seen plenty of great battles in the past as well, so it's not because I'm British. Maybe it has an influence. I don't really care about the British thing or the country thing, but yeah, I think it's because of the great overtakes we've seen in the past as well. We've got 1 and 2 straight, we've got the hanger straight as well. The first few corners in the race always provide some great action too, so it's the profile of these corners and the track in general is just so great to watch racing.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had some cracking races here over the past. We've had that spectacular wet weather race with Lewis Hamilton. We've had Max and Lewis at Cups. It's been a special track over the years. So also it can provide a lot of rain. Do we know what the weather's like? Has anybody been speaking in the paddock chat?
Well, I know in real life it's wet, but I'm not quite sure about the track in the game, so it is dry. Unfortunately, not in real life.
No, yeah. Well, a dry race on Silverstone is always a good fun. It's such a high-speed track, so sometimes I find the rain can be a little bit tricky around here with high-speed corners. But yeah, I'm sure these guys will be ready for whatever awaits around the corner.
We'll see what happens around the corner. We saw, I think, Lando Norris getting a great jump on Max Verstappen for the lead of the race this year, and his teammate Oscar Piastri followed too. But well, I don't think he took second place. Did he? I actually can't remember now. I can remember races from like years and years ago, but I can barely remember what happened in this year's race. That's quite funny actually.
I think we only saw Lando jump Max this time round. But yeah, also my memory fades. It's a lot of racing.
Yeah, 2022 when Carlos Sainz took his first win for Ferrari. 1999 when Michael Schumacher broke his leg at Stoke Corner, but returned a year later, I think. And I think he won the championship that year. If I'm going to be brave about it, I ain't done my research. Well, I should know, but I think he took the championship that year. Start of the 2000s.
In 2000, I'm not sure, but a quick Google search away would would be useful. I'll have a look. Yeah, Michael Schumacher in the year 2000, world champion.
Was it a race later where he came back and won? I'm not quite sure if it was a year later he came back and won the British GP, or was it a race later in that same year where he broke his leg. Not quite sure, but anyways, Michael came back very strong indeed. Well, the impact of the at the Stoke Corner is hefty. But here we are then with 4 or 5 lights, no formation lap. The British GP will be underway shortly, and let's have a look who gets a decent start. You can see Palmer sliding there with massive wheel spin as he might be under challenge now with Lozano Zera trying to go around the outside into turn 2. Now into turn 3 we go. As you can see, they're both on different tyres, explaining why the tyre grip is so different. But Lozano Zera utilising those medium compound tyres to her advantage will take advantage of Palmer as Palmer will try and stick around the outside. Can he do it? No, he can't. So Lozano Zera takes away P2, but Palmer might fancy run now on the hanger straight. Here we go, side by side, and already Isaac's got a 3-second time penalty. Down the inside goes Palmer, and here comes Sophia up into P3. Lozano Zera trying to stick around the outside now, converted to the inside line. Into Luffield corner we go, and let's see who gets to the top. It's going to be Lozano Zera for the time being. She needs to utilise those medium compound tyres, but Sophia's on the tail again as we head into Cops corner. Let's see what happens. They go side by side through Cops and they came out cleanly. Incredible racing. And look at Glowstick. What a fancy move up there. I don't think into Magnussen Beckers, but he's trying to force Lozano Zera offline. Actually forced himself offline too for good measure as he gets so squirrely coming out of Magnussen Beckers. But here we are, Palmer will take the lead off Panda, despite Panda being on the medium compound tyres. We head wheel to wheel, into Stowe we go. And let's see if he's got a grip around the outside. No, he does not, but he has a decent exit and a big contact!
Ooh.
Oh, that was so close there. Panda forced him onto the grass. Now Sofian will take advantage. So this has been a, well, chaotic first lap it must seem. As Sofian side by side with Palmer we go. As we head onto the Lewis Hamilton straight, heading into turn number 1, and Sofian takes P2. Or
Yeah, absolutely. And further back we got Verona Flash had a spin in the first corner. I think there was a bit of contact. I did see a bit of damage. And Eisen off the track as well in the first sector. I think he got a triple warning actually for being off the track for so long. So that's what his time penalties come from.
Turn 4 Australia, turn number 1 at Austria as well, where time penalties can be immediate. But King Panda then won't want to be challenged at this phase of the race on those medium compound tyres against the hards. A few drivers opting for the hard compound tyres, some on the mediums, but for those on the mediums that hasn't worked well at all. It must be said in this early stage, you want to pull away as much as you can before the DRS is activated. Panda's trying to do that, but with the power of the DRS is around here as well, not much of a tyre deficit between the mediums and the hards. But Glowstick might fancy a run at Lozano Zera again. Oh, that was so close to contact, like Carlos Sainz and Danny Kvyat back in 2017 when they made contact into Magnussen Beckett, and Glowstick there almost sent Lozano Zera into a spin, so that was very close to contact, just wiping the Alpha Tauri driver out, but she lives to fight another day, does Lozano. And here comes Jay Hartnell on Ruben then, as Ruben looks like he's dropping back also on those medium compound tyres. Both Ferraris did not have a great qualifying, and Ruben does not go down the inside at this point in the race as well. So DRS then, the all-important DRS is enabled. King Panda hasn't pulled away, and Sofian is drawn in.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking in the midfield, we've got Treaders on a soft compounder tyre. He's the only one that's opted for that strategy, so he's going to have a lot of pace in the early phase of this race. He's also used 50% of his battery, which would suggest that he's pushing very hard to maximise that tyre.
Sofian's had a great start too from P4 to P2 as he took advantage of Palmer, as Panda forced him all the way to the left hand side of the grid and put him on the grass for good measure. That could have been so easy for Palmer just to light up the rear tyres being on the grass, but he backed out of it. So he's definitely got some words to say about Panda on that one. Not very nice words indeed, as Nathan says. Good evening to me and you, Kalen.
Good evening, Nathan. How are you doing, buddy?
I think Nathan will be racing in PSGO very shortly as well, so let's see how he gets on during the PSGO. Looks like Steve, Bompier and Enos as well. I think those drivers will be competing in ILT, so I can't wait to see how they get on as they're representing ILT. But here we are commentating code for Tier 4 with King Panda under huge pressure, so he hasn't really used the mediums to his advantage. It's quite difficult to pull away and break away from the DRS. You only get 2 laps before the DRS is enabled, but anyways, the slipstream is quite powerful too, and as you can see, he's being hounded by the hard runners of Sofian and Palmer, so not looking great for him at all, as Sofian's in a great position to just stick with Panda before his tyres start to run out eventually. As you can see, Sofian's used a lot of EOS just trying to claw his way in on Panda after overtaking Palmer too from starting P4 to P2, and Glowstick is still pressurising Lozano Zera, but he seems to be trying to overtake her in the unconventional overtaking places like Magnussen Beckett. You don't want to go for an overtake there, you'll end in tears.
Yeah, this track is all about patience, because as we're saying here with King Panda himself, it's so hard to break away and to ditch that 1 second gap of the DRS straights. It's a really high speed track as well, so it's so difficult to break away, and yeah, going for moves in areas where you shouldn't, it's not the smartest thing.
Yeah, Glowstick found that out himself when he went wide. Quinn Magnussen Beckett is kept on the track at the second time round, almost wiping Lozano Zera off the track, but Sofian has went out wide for that cop, so that might cost him a warning. As you can see, Panda, everybody's taking different lines. It's so interesting to see other drivers taking different lines there. We saw Palmer almost up the inside into Lovefield as Sofian was taking the high line and Palmer through the inside line, but couldn't quite make it work on this occasion. As you can see, Panda is not able to break away with the powerful DRS and down the Wellington Straight. As we head into Vale now, the last 3 corners of this Grand Prix, as we head on to lap 5 out of 26 then, as Panda continues to lead ahead of Sofian, and Palmer is followed too with Lozano Zera in P4. Basil Fox is on the medium compound tyres too, so he hasn't really made up any ground. He's actually lost a place towards glow sticks from P5 down to P6 then. So not looking really great for the medium runners so far, as the hard runners are right there and not able to pull away from those guys.
No, yeah, this is a really good beginning of the race for the guys in the hard compound tyres. The mediums aren't really that much quicker, to be fair. As you can see, Jay Hartnell, he's the first DRS break, so he dropped off the back of Chandos on the soft tyres. This is where we begin to get the two races.
Two different groups. As you can see, Sofian takes the lead of the race then ahead of King Panda. He used a lot of battery as well, so he is quite low on battery, and he'll be very low towards this stage of the race because you can't save it whilst you're out there by yourself. So he'll be under huge pressure. As you can see, Palmer very close towards Panda. These two not particularly great friends, as Palmer's told me in the party. But as you can see, Panda just making a few mistakes, going offline into Magnus Beckett, but will have the DRS to protect himself against Palmer, as he saved a bit of ERS himself in his disposal as well, so not really use that, but can use it in defense mode later on. As Palmer then up the inside, I thought for 1 second, but backs out of it as we make our way into turn number 16 we go. Lozano Zera still being under pressure by Glowstick. Glowstick is desperate to get past the Spanish driver, but not able to do it. But is he close enough on Lozano? I don't think he wants to send it into turn number 1, but he has to be patient, like you said. Can't afford to make any rash moves because he could end in tears. You can see the difference of speed they're carrying through the first two corners, despite Glowstick being the dirtier right behind as well. Lozano's there, and now switching to the outside line, trying to take the high line to try and get a decent exit coming out of turn number 3 and 4 and 5. But with both having DRS, won't be any use for him, as they're both carrying the same speed down the straight as we're headed to Brooklands. No overtakes, but Glowstick, as you can see, is desperate to get past Lozano.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sofian here, he's backing the group up just a little bit on those hard compound tyres, and the gap at the top is separated by 2-3 tenths each time. So yeah, really, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of position changes at this stage of the race now.
Yeah, we are as well. You can see Panda rides the back as Glowstick has picked up a 3-second time penalty then, so his patience once again, his impatience once again is shown. But look at this, Panda going very wide. Quinton Magnus Beck is coming out of turn number 12, and now he's going to be under huge pressure from Palmer right behind. So this is going to be very interesting as we head down Stowe. Will Palmer try and force the lunge up the inside? Will Panda make any more mistakes, I wonder? Is this allow Sofian to pull away now due to these two fighting and Panda making mistakes? But for the time being, Panda remains in P2 ahead of Palmer. As you can see, they're all getting very bunched up right behind each other. But as we head now onto lap 7, Palmer still remains in P3, and Glowstick with that 3-second time penalty early stage in this race won't do many favours now towards the end, as he'll pick up that 3-second time penalty to serve it. Palmer, once again, it's turn number 3. Will not go down the inside, just waiting. But look at Glowstick, has a decent exit around the outside into the inside line at turn number 4 now. You can see him fighting with traction there. The hard compound tyres not really giving him the grip or demand. Maybe he's getting the throttle way too early. And now Bazza Fox is alongside the Scotsman as he goes up the inside now into Brooklyn. So looks like Glowstick had the upper hand at one point, but he was just fighting with traction as he had the inside line, and obviously got to put to the dirty stuff really.
Yeah, there's there's not a lot of grip out there as you go onto the Wellington straight, and he's just lit up the rears and they sent him across the track as he's collected it. So that's put him under pressure, and another position change for Bazza and Glowstick there. But I like what I'm seeing here from Palmer. He's racing with a lot of patience, a lot of maturity, and it's good to see.
He got a bit sketchy down after Stowe when they both were very close to each other, but luckily did not make contact and stay where they are. Panda going into Stowe right now, will try and go around the outside. No, Sofian has him covered, but we've got a spinner further back through the field, and it looks like it's Ruben in P13 coming out of Magus Beckett has spun and dropped the car, and yeah, his race hasn't worked out whatsoever ever since that 5-second tap penalty, or 5 place group penalty with his teammate of course. So not great from both Ferraris. One of them is in P11 with a 3-second tap penalty as well, so it's not really looking good for those guys so far down at Ferrari. But back to the front there with Sofian and the Aston Martin just defending from Panda. Panda took a lot of curb into turn 3, just outside of the car, but we'll get a decent exit now with the helping hand of the DRS to keep Palmer at bay. Palmer playing the patient game, not really sending it left, right and centre like I thought he'd be, because obviously Panda and Safian on different strategies. I think Palmer wants to stick with Safian on the same tyres as Panda will struggle on those medium compound tyres. There's an opening, oh, there's contact, and I think that was an audacious move there from Palmer. I don't think it was going to end well. He carried the speed, he made inevitable contact, and I think Palmer is to blame on that one.
Yeah, just racing. I don't think anything to be doing with that. It went for a gap that was always closing, but yeah, no damage, just a bit of a contact. All good, wheel to wheel.
A bit of a level up tap there from Palmer, so we won't be doing that for the second time in this race. We'll have to look for other ways past to get past Panda, but it looks like he's definitely got the cornering speed to try and get past that Haas, but you can see Panda just remaining in PT, using Safian for DRS. He can obviously go for it if he wants to on Safian, but he's not doing it just yet. He wants to stay behind him to get the DRS to protect himself against others, like we've seen in every single race so far this season. No matter what league race it is, everybody is second or third will try and stick him with somebody else's DRS to protect themselves against others. But third place wants to make a move, but he can't quite do it as the guy ahead of him is carrying the same speed on the straight, so he's having to look for other ways past as Verona Flash picks up a 3-second time penalty, unfortunately for the Haas driver, who's currently in P14. So not the greatest start either for Verona Flash. It's been a disappointing season, I must say, because it looks like he had promising pace in the first race as well, and in pre-season. So I was hoping to see more of him, but he suffered his own bad luck this season, and hopefully he can be up there alongside his teammate, because I thought it was going to be both Hasses towards the start of the season that will have the upper hand and the rest of them, but one has been up there but has made a few mistakes himself, and Verona Flash has qualifying issues as well, so it's not really helping his case as he pitted, and onto the hardcore power tyres he goes, probably to take towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Verona Flash then, Haas driver, one of my teammates as well. I don't think we've been able to see truly the real pace of Verona Flash this season, since he's had a lot of bad luck at the beginning of the season, and that can also just hurt your motivation. As Palmer gets up the inside of King Panda on the exit of Vargas and Beckett's, as Panda gets a bit of a wobble out, and yeah, he's up into P2 now, so good for him.
Turn 14, Panda had a huge slide, allowed Palmer to go up the inside, and like you said, take P2 away, so that was a costly mistake there for Panda to be dropped into P3. The medium runners look like they're struggling, and Glowsticks into P6 after being overtaken by Bazza as well, so he's behind the medium runners, but he should be as the advantage at this stage of the race, where the hard should be theoretically better than the mediums at this stage. Mediums are not dead, but the hard compound tyres should be better at this stage in comparison to the mediums then, so let's keep an eye on the medium runners to see when they decide to go for a pit stop in this race and go to the hards.
Yes, definitely. I think if I was Glowstick now, I'd be trying to recognise that my tyres are better as well. He's got very good battery life as well, so I'd be trying to push through these guys and perhaps try and get into the podium positions before the pit stops.
Yeah, it's just that 3-second time penalty. We saw he was all over the place with trying to fight with Zalazera, just taking different lines, making big moves and big mistakes as well, and it didn't pay off in the end because Lozano Zera is still in P4 after Glowstick tried to go for it twice and Maggots and Beckett, and one of them almost went into contact as well. So Glowstick there, been all over the road at the start of the race, and it's cost him a few warnings as well, and got that 3-second time penalty. I think like it was in Abu Dhabi as well, I think somebody else picked up that 3-second time penalty by going all over the road. Here comes Palmer for the lead then, so he takes it immediately away from Safian, and now Safian in P2 were able to regenerate some of that battery and fight him later on in this race as well after being in first place majority of it. Craigo further behind has overtaken Chunders. In fact, Mazzles is there too, so those guys are having a mighty scrap for P7, the AlphaTauri, McLaren and the Red Bull as they go into turn number 16 there with Mazzles in front. Jay Hartnell picks up a 5-second time penalty for speed in the pit lane, and that would definitely cost him towards the end of the race as well. Luckily, it's only a one-stop strategy around here, not a two-stop, because there's a long pit lane, so if there was another safety car and he had to box again, it'll be a long penalty served, as it's a very long pit lane.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's twice already now the driver's been caught out by the extremely slow pit speed here. I think we're down to 60 kph in Silverstone, when usually we're seeing about 80 kph for pit lane speed. So yeah, drivers getting caught out here.
Wow, what a battle between Safian and Palmer. They're going side by side now out of Luffield and Brooklands. Here we are, going into Cops. Who will yield? I think Palmer has to yield on this occasion. We saw a great side by side action between Lazada Zera and Glowstick early on this race as well as they come out. Sofian retakes the lead of this race. We're down the inside at Luffield, so sorry, Brooklands. Palmer tried to get him around the outside of Luffield, but it was great racing between the two as well. Had their car in control and able to carry the speed in the corners as well, with Sofian coming out on top of it as Glowstick has actually been attached from this train then, so I thought be hounding these medium runners, but isn't the case. Further behind, in the background, I saw Lazana Zera, and here comes Bazza Fox, a bit of contact as well. Lazana Zera has to go out wide. Bazza Fox going to do a switchback. He doesn't have to grip on those medium compound tyres. King Panda has pitted to get off those mediums, and he's one of the first pitters at the front here.
Yeah, really useful for King Panda to get in early. Of course, you don't know who your teammate is with the multiplayer cars, so he's taking all the risk out of that. And yeah, he's going to rejoin and put some quality laps in and get himself an undercut and get in front of the grid again.
Yeah, with those guys on the hard compound tyres going on the mediums later, he has to use this hard compound tyres to try and pull a big gap. He'll get the undercut of these guys for sure on older tyres, as the undercut around here is quite powerful. But yeah, he needs to utilise those hard compound tyres and try and gain a bigger gap he can, whilst these guys on dirty air and older tyres as well before they switch on to hard/mediums. Top two will go on the hard. Top two will go on the mediums. Lazana Zera and Bazza will go on the hards, and Glowstick will go on the medium compound tyres. But Sofian has picked up a 3-second time penalty. I noticed a few laps ago he went wide coming out of cops, and for the second time I've seen in this race he's done it twice as well. So I'm not quite sure where he picked up another warning, but now it's 3 seconds, and that's going to have big consequences towards the end of this race as well, as Bazza Fox is starting to pressurise Lazana Zera. I wonder if those two will box now, responding to King Panda and P9. Let's see what those two decide to do, and Bazza Fox will be pitting to try and respond to the undercut from King Panda.
Yeah, absolutely. So not ideal for our current race leader then. 3-second time penalty for track warnings. And yeah, still a long way to go of this race, only just about the halfway mark.
We are indeed, and let's see what Palmer does as we head into turn number 3. Backs out of it, just trying to force a dummy on Sofian there. But let's see where Bazza Fox and King Panda rejoin. King Panda's coming through his stow. You can definitely tell how much time he loses in the pit lane. There's such a slow, long pit lane, and it feels like forever. But here he is then, cut out the pit lane. That's why you got to keep the mistakes to a minimal. And here comes Palmer up the inside of Brooklands. Retakes P1, but Sofian with the drive around the outside might get him back. Rolls reversed as we go into Luffield now. Sofian has the drive around the outside of Palmer there. It was the other way around last time, and it was actually Sofian who got the better of Palmer, and he maintains P1. So what a great battle there between the top two. And Bazza Fox, here comes King Panda, almost did the undercut, and now he has him going into Brooklyn. So I thought he ahead of his fellow half-runner, but it's not the case, as you can see Panda moves himself up into P8 just ahead of Bazza Fox.
Yeah, absolutely. And further back then, I just seen that Roller make his second stop of the Grand Prix, and I think he's taken another 5-second time penalty as well on the entrance to the pit lane. So yeah, people really are getting caught out here, and that's something to watch for myself in Tier 3 now.
As Bazza Fox once again puts the pressure on King Panda, Glowstick is in the pit lane. Interestingly, Lazana Zera, it has stayed out there. Her tyres must be fading away now, but still, she's in this DRS train, right behind Palmer and Sofian, so she's playing the long game. It is Lazana Zera, and let's see her pay dividends for her strategy later on if she's got the pace to claw her way back towards Panda, Bazza and Glowstick. So Glowstick on a brand new set of mediums then, as he went from hards to mediums in this race, and now Palmer once again we're putting pressure on Sofian. The more these two squabble, better chance for Bazza and King Panda to do the undercut. And Palmer there broke earlier, it seems, going into Brooklands. And let's see if he goes around the outside into Luffield, which he doesn't do so on that occasion. So Palmer trying different tactics as he's experienced the outside line and the inside line in the last 2 times. And now Palmer might be alongside into Stowe or Cop, sorry, but not close enough.
Yeah, so just looking in the midfield now, obviously Glowstick's just come out the pit lane and he's 2.5 seconds down on Panda and Bazza, so he's lost a bit of time in this pit strategy, but of course he is on a quicker tyre now, so he should close that gap fairly soon, but he's not going to want to take too much life out of the tyres in the early phase since he does have quite a while to go on those medium compounded tyres.
And once again, Palmer retakes the lead of this race, but Sofian with the driver on the outside. It looked like Palmer just hooked the inside line, and obviously it didn't work out in the end. And Sofian was able to go around the outside, so Palmer should have taken the race in line, but he actually opened the door up around the outside for Sofian to let him come through again and take P1. So this is a great drive, but so far between the top two. Lizana Zera is still in this fight. I wonder how long she extended that stint for on those medium compound tyres. Could it be mediums to softs? I've seen mediums to softs being used as a strategy before, so that could be a reason why. Or does she want the pure pace towards the end, the best out of the tyres towards the end too? Just try and fight Baza and King Panda.
Yes, indeed. Well, Trundles did do 12, 13 laps on the soft tyre at the beginning of this race, so if that's what she's going for, then the tyres will last, but it depends whether she can have the life of them at the end of the race.
Very important, as the soft tyres can deteriorate very quickly around any circuit, and Palmer once again tantalisingly close behind Sofian. Those two will get massively undercutted by the likes of Glowstick Panda and Baza Fox, but once they're on the mediums, the fresher mediums towards the end, they should gain that deficit back on those guys on the hards. So that's going to be very interesting to watch out for. The interval between the leaders, Baza Fox is 25.7 seconds behind Sofian, so I'm not quite sure how much time you lose in the pit lane around here in Silverstone. I know it's a lot, but I'm not quite sure how huge the time loss is. But we'll just wait for these two to pit and see what happens then. As Glowstick, like you said, pulled the trigger very early in this race, not really extending those hards as long as he could. You can see Sofian squirming at the exit there will influence Palmer even more on those old hard compound tyres. The Zanazera has dropped out of this DRS train. She's 1 second right behind, so you can see her performance started to go on those medium compound tyres. Could it be the time for Lizana? The more she stays out there on those medium compound tyres. So what's going on with Panda then? Oh, we spoke about Stowe has Panda. That's a shame there for Panda. Was running such a great race, and now he's dropped it coming out of Stowe and under pressure from the likes of Craigo. Here comes Palmer once again to Sofian as Craigo overtakes Panda. So Sofian lays the brakes there, trying to go around the outside. Now as the inside line into Luffield. This is a great tussle. 3 times we've seen these guys go side by side, and yet again they got out unscathed. No contact made. So Sofian and Palmer, the British and Frenchman, showing great respect between each other with these fights, and it's allowing Lizana Zero to get back in DRS the more these guys squabble as well. So Lizana Zero just hanging in there with the DRS, but currently outside of it, so she's not able to claw her way back in as that road has gone for a spin coming out of Stowe. But this is an incredible fight between the two.
Yeah, this is really helping the races of Glowstick and Panda and Baza Fox as well, but because all this battling is just backing them up and making the undercut even more powerful. So yeah, it's really good to watch, but interesting as well.
So Sofian is in the pit lane, but he gets a 5-second time penalty, so that's his second penalty in this race then. So he's great with racing, but when it comes to penalties, just can't get rid of them, and unfortunately adding to his collection as well. He won't be able to serve it in the pit lane as he's just pitted up as that runner's gone for the spin. So I think Sofian will be nervous about safety cars too in this race, as they give Palmer a big chance. But Lizana Zera has done the mediums to softs then, so that's her strategy. So is Sofian, hards to softs, so that's just the soft compound tyres are being introduced in this race. So the game on between all these guys.
Yeah, I think that kind of confirms my strategy for Thursday as well. But yeah, Sofian's going to really be kicking us off for that. He's the net race leader, of course, and well, 8 seconds of penalties, that's not going to do his race any favours.
As you can see, that rolling and recreating Felipe Massa like in 2008 and continuing spinning around here in Silverstone, just not finding the grip at all on those medium compound tyres. So Glowstick up into P3, the gap between him and Sofian is 4.4, but Glowstick will be very nervous with those two on the soft compound tyres, hunting them down. Lizana Zera could be on for a podium with the 2 ahead of him, or the 2 ahead of her, sorry, with a penalty. So podium could be likely, and now with the best tyres towards the end, she should be in great shape, size up a podium.
Is it too early to put a winner suggestion in yet, Jamie? What do you think?
The way Palmer keeps going, I think it'll be him, but he'd be quick on those mediums or softs, depends which tyre he goes for. So I think Palmer's got this in the bag, because Sofian really has no chance, as that Roland has got a penalty. As long as the guys ahead don't pick up penalties as well, they should be alright. But Palmer, this should be softs. Yes, it is. It's the soft compound tyres being fitted on to that car as he comes out of the pit lane now. Let's see where he rejoins. And the rest of them, that Ronan has left the session then, so he's had enough around here at Silverstone. Fair play to staying in, but just couldn't find the grip around here. As Glowstick takes the lead of this race, but he knows guys behind are on soft compound tyres then. So what strategy has worked? Mediums to hards, hards to mediums, hards to softs, mediums to softs, who knows? But we're about to find out towards the end.
Yeah, that's certainly. I have a feeling that Palmer may have stayed out one, maybe 2 laps too long, especially with the battling that he was having with Sofian. But yeah, this is going to be tough. I really think Baza has a chance here, but of course he's going to have the 3 soft runners raining down on him very quickly.
So the game is on, and Sofian, the highest soft runner, Palmer, by staying out there 1 lap later, is 3 seconds behind Lozano Zero, 4 seconds behind Sofian. So that staying out 1 lap later on an older horse really cost him. But with those fresher tyres, will it be payback towards the end of the race? Who knows? Will he fight back towards the end?
Yes, it does seem to be that the undercut is very powerful around the track. Of course, it's a long and quick track as well, so that would make a lot of sense.
It is, with a slow pit lane and a fast track. That's why the undercut around here is very powerful. I can see Sofian maximising the track coming out of Stowe right there. Mazzles and Panda having a scrap for P9 and P10. Those 3 have been having a scrap. I haven't really mentioned the midfield, but it's quite hard to do so when all those guys ahead are bastard. Sofian sets the fastest lap of the race, just dropping Lozano out of his DRS then, as Lozano's 9/10 hovering around a second, so she desperately needs to keep that DRS to follow Sofian, because the gap went from 4 seconds to 2.1. Multiple drivers picking up penalties in this race, but the gap is 2 seconds between Sofian and Baza, so definitely closing in against the hard and medium runners there. Those 2 will be under huge pressure. It looks like the strategy today with no safety cars, so this could give us really good information to see which tyre is the best, because usually safety cars, we don't really know what the strategy is, because obviously it transfers into a 2-stop and changes the whole field strategy. But Mazzles is up into P8 ahead of Chunders. The gap is 1.9 towards Baza. With a clean race with no virtuals or safety cars, we're able to see what strategy is really better.
Yeah, absolutely, Jamie. It's really refreshing to see. I remember back in Spain in Tier 4, I believe we hit the safety car limit by lap 22 or something. So having no safety cars here in Silverstone, it's flying by so far.
It is, mate. Lap 19 out of 26 then. And we're about to see a battle for the lead very shortly. Basil Fox just following. Oh, Basil Fox there made a mistake with that Stowe. Did he hook the inside line? Just lost the rear end of the car. Lost him a lot of time towards Glowstick, and now in the clutches of Sofian then. So that's a very costly mistake, because hasn't got the DRS to protect himself, or the tyres either. So double blow there for Basil Fox, as Mazzles has overtaken Jay Hartner, who's in the pit lane by the way. So that's very interesting. Going for another set of soft compound tyres. Doesn't believe that those mediums could go towards the end, or thinks that the 2-stop is better, which it isn't around here, because the pit lane is huge, unless he's got front wing damage of course. But Sofian with a great exit is alongside Baza. We're very careful not to make contact with drivers on different tyres, as Sofian then moves himself up into P2, will challenge Glowstick for the lead of this race. But will Palmer be the quickest man towards the end with the freshness of the tyres of them all? 1 or 2 laps can make a huge difference of tyres around any circuit. But will it be favoured towards Palmer or Lozano? If Palmer can keep closing the gap on Lozano, if Lozano can stay in the DRS range of Sofian and stay within that penalty zone, let's see who wins this race. Will it be Lozano? Will it be Palmer? It's going to be one of those 2 for sure.
Yes, I think so as well. Those 2 penalties up top, and Lozano Sarah has a very strong battery life as well, so if she can get the move on Baza ASAP, then she'll be looking good, I think.
Has to really got to stay within the DRS range of Sofian, but Baz has got DRS on the back of Sofian right there, as Lozano Zero will be hunting down that McLaren driver, as she wants her 3rd podium or 4th podium this season. She's picked up quite a few podiums this season, and two wins to go along with it too. So Lozano Zero of Lozana Zera's stats is looking really great so far. Another win could be added to her tally. She's a reserve driver, so she doesn't really have a say in the championship, but in terms of pure pace, she's got that, and will put the pressure on Bazza very shortly. As Palmer sets the fastest lap of the race, so he closed the gap down by 2.2 towards 8:10. So he's got some mighty pace on those soft compound tyres. Only a lap difference, by the way, between Lozana and Palmer, but with a 1 lap difference made a huge difference there for Palmer. And Lozana Zera alongside Bazza disposes him very quickly, and now she can focus on the battle with Sophia and try and keep within his DRS range to try and protect herself against Palmer.
Yeah, that was an important move. Palmer really on the back of her very, very quickly, and dispatched Bazza, and now he's falling into the clutches of Palmer, as it is our championship leader.
I thought Palmer had the overspeed to try and overtake Bazza before Magnus and Beckers, but he stays behind for the time being. Lozana has got the DRS on Sophia then, so she can use that to her advantage in terms of protective against Palmer. She knows Sophia's got penalties, so she knows she's in a spot to win this race, as Glowstick himself has got a 3-second penalty. Palmer right behind Bazza, but can't do anything about him, as he has to wait for the time being. His championship rival, the man in first place, and he's in second place, right ahead of him. So this will taste good for Palmer to get past his championship rival, but it won't do big difference in the championship. But maybe a few points being taken away there for Bazza. Depends where Palmer can finish in this race and try and gain a huge bunch of points. But you can see him go side by side now. As you can see, Bazza is late to the race. He knows that's his championship rival. Despite being on all the tyres, he's not willing to give up. Palmer doing the switchback on the McLaren driver. He has the grip. Quit out of turn number 4 and gets his rival, but Bazza Fox right behind in the DRS range. As you can see, Palmer's just outside the 1 second range of DRS. Bazza's got the battery. He might make another lunge into Brooklands. Palmer doesn't want this fight whatsoever. He wants to be focused on Lozana Zera, and Palmer just ahead there. And Bazza Fox really losing traction without Luffield there. So those hard compound tyres hasn't worked in his advantage. But Palmer, crucial move to get ahead of Bazza. He was under huge pressure, but still had the tyres go around the outside and keep his position. As Sophia in there, racking up the penalties.
Yeah, so once again, that doesn't do his race any good. Interesting to say, Jimmy, I was on board with Palmer coming up the hanger straight and the lap before, and he was clipping, and Bazza was just driving away with him with DRS. So yeah, to get that move done in the corners, very important for Palmer, because if he couldn't, he wasn't going to do it with the DRS.
And Palmer there with all the hard work just trying to catch up to Lozana could have been taken away by fighting with Bazza, but you can see him lock up the rears there. Into turn 16 we go. So this is an incredible fight there between Lozana Zera and Palmer. It's going to be those two, unless those two pick up a 3-second penalty, because Glowstick has got a 3-second, I believe. So it's going to be very important that Lozana and Palmer do not pick up a 3-second penalty, otherwise it'll spoil them for the race win or potential podium as well. I think all three of them will get a podium due to Sophian's penalties. Bazza Fox will move up into P4 with the penalties of Sophian. But yeah, I think Lozana and Palmer know a race win's on the card. Could Lozana be tactical like a Spanish hero Carlos Sainz, using the DRS of Sophian and try and keep herself ahead of Palmer? That's the tactical way to do it, but it looks like Palmer's got the grip. You can see him with great cornering speed, now behind Lozana Zera. No DRS on this straight, but still too far back to make a move.
I don't think Lozana Zera's got an option of staying behind Sophia since he's dropped off the DRS of Glowstick, and you know there's still 3 laps to go of this race, and Glowstick just taken another 3-second time penalty. So I was gonna say he could pull away to 3 seconds, but 6 seconds I don't think so.
Big stretch, Glowstick picks up another penalty, finds himself leading this race, trying to go one better than he did in Abu Dhabi by finishing second. But unfortunately, those penalties aren't going to win you the race, it's going to tumble you down. Here we are with Palmer and Lozana. Lozana has to go defensive. This time around, Palmer is hunting her down, unlike in Australia and Japan where Lozana had the better of him. It looks like Palmer has the better of her. And this could be redemption time for Palmer to try and take the win off Lozana or make contact there. You can see the amount of corner speed he has in that car, in the Williams, but not able to make him lunge into turn number 3. as we head into 4 and 5. The slow speed corners where it's very important to gain traction immediately to get the good boost out the corners to have the speed on the straight. You can see there Palmer with great corner speed once again despite being on 1 lap fresher tyres against Lozano Zera. What about the inside line? It's not on as he remains there in P4. There's 3 laps left to go, and this is going to be incredible pressure for Lozano Zera to sustain if she can, but she's maintaining it well so far.
Yeah, doing really well, but I really think she needs to get that move done on Sophia, because the later this race is going, the more aggressive Palmer's going to be. And yeah, whilst Palmer doesn't need to take the risk, he's still going to want to win this race. So yeah, but he's got a lot of drag, he's got a lot of cornering speed, but he's got a lot of drag. I think we're going to see a move from Palmer maybe into turn 3.
It's a great race by Glowstick as well, because despite being on the medium compound tyres, Sophia's not really making a challenge. But here we are then, onto the Wellington straight we go. Palmer, is he close enough to make an influence on down the inside of Lozano? Not quite, but Lozano will cover the inside line for sure unless Palmer go deep on the brakes, which he can't do so. Lozano covers him off, but with the switchback with Palmer, will he try and fancy a move? No, he can't. Too far back on the occasion, a bit too risky to make a lunge. If it was the last lap, he would have done it. But as we head into the first 2 corners, both deracing on the straight there, Palmer taking a lot of curb through turn number 1. But Lozano Zera is dropping out of this DRS range as Palmer tries to go up the inside. Not quite, can't do it on that occasion. Into 3 we go. Palmer will try and do a switchback. Lozano Zera is still in the DRS range despite being hunted down by Palmer. She sounds good defensive, not taking the line she wants to, but still has the DRS on the back of that Aston Martin. Will Palmer try and go down the inside into Brooklands now? Here he goes. This could be the race winning move from Palmer, but Lozano Zera is still on the inside there, where Palmer trying to carry the speed. You can see the dirt, you can see the marbles on the tyres, but still it's going to be a drag race now coming out of Luffield. Into Stowe we go, into Cop, sorry. Lozano Zera is still on the inside line. They'll go side by side, but look at that, Lozano Zera might go off the track with the understeer. And now Palmer gets ahead, but is Palmer outside the DRS range? No, he's not. 2 laps to go in this race. I thought those 2 squabbling, one of them might be outside the DRS range, but Palmer takes the initial lead with those 2 having penalties there, and what a great scrap between those 2.
Yeah, always fair, always hard, but always clean. Really good to see. Neither of them got battery left, just hard racing. And Sophia now, he's dropped off the DRS of Glowstick, and he's under a lot of pressure now from Palmer. Palmer's going to want to make that move immediately because he's just going to be pushed back and back into Lozano Zera now. So yeah, interesting end to the race here, Jamie.
It is indeed, and also Basil Fox, haven't mentioned him for a while. He's lost a lot of pace. He's actually fallen behind his teammate Grego, so Grego into P5 on the medium compound tyres. But here's Sofian versus Palmer, and I think Palmer will do the same thing he did on Lozano, just try and go for the switch by taking different lines. As Palmer can't afford to fight too hard, he gets forced outside. There's yellow flags, but no safety cars can influence this race, and Palmer will go around the outside now before Brooklands and move himself up into P2 on the straight then. So Palmer there really flying in that Williams and making Williams proud of their home Grand Prix, as Sofian then will be hunted down by Lozano Zera. I thought Lozano Zera would have Palmer covered because of the DRS, but not to be so, as Sofian there looks like he made it easy for Lozano Zera, so Palmer will be happy with that one.
Yeah, absolutely, that's a race winning move there for Palmer on Sophia, and well, yeah, I think he's got this one covered.
He has. The gap is 7/10. As Basil Fox is red. Oh, he's run out of fuel. Basil Fox has run out of fuel before we crossed the line, and I think he was anticipating a safety car, but no safety cars or virtuals have appeared on the circuit. The gap between Lozano and Palmer is 3/10, but there's no other opportunities to overtake around the circuit, and that was the last chance. So what a great drive from these 2. Lozano Zera versus Palmer, like he was in Australia and Japan. Here comes Glowstick. Oh, he slides through the final corner, finishes it first, but Palmer will win the British GP ahead of Lozano Zera. Glowstick gets to the podium to add to his tally. Sofian will drop down the order with Craigo up into P4. What a great drive from Craigo.
That's championship leads. That's championship lead. Bader's not going to score a point.
Let's see where he finishes. He continues to drop down the order. There he is in P11. So another swap in the championship, it seems. And Basil Fox is in the pit lane. He needs to cross the line to get himself classified, as he will continue to tumble down at the order with Jay Hartnell possibly overtaking him too. So the only man run out of fuel, by the way, is Bazza. I'm not surprised really, because you anticipate a safety car anywhere really, but Yeah, it's cost him a huge bunch of points, and I think Palmer might. He said he's lost the championship. There's no way he can get that, but I think he's recharged his batteries now, and realizes that there's still an opportunity to win the championship no matter what.
Well, it's a 30-point swing, is it not? And I think the gap is only 28. So if I'm mistaken, then my calculations has Palmer as the championship leader now.
I think the points tally goes down to 14th to 15th, so I think Baz still scores points as he completed 95% of the race.
Even so, a costly mistake there, and well, Palmer maximising the points for him today.
Join the Tier 3 party as all the drivers are. I got to say, what an incredible race that was. Just watching those drivers fight it out, and Palmer with some clean racing there between himself, Basil Fox, Sofian, Glowstick, and Lazana Zera. He didn't fight Glowstick towards the end. Glowstick has him covered, but he should be very pleased. It also gets an extra point for having the fastest lap. So 31 points in the bike tonight. He can be very happy with himself there. Bazza Fox and King Panda having their own incidents while Bazza ran out of fuel, and it's cost him a huge chunk of points. So Palmer might be relieved that Bazza Fox barely scored any points, because that championship gap will be tumbling down as Palmer thought to be over. But I told him it's never over until it's over. Anything could happen. He just didn't believe it. He didn't believe in himself, but anyways, you might believe it now. Glowstick and Palmer are joining the party. I hope Lizana Zera can join, because she hasn't joined the last few interviews. It would be nice to have her in the interview. I'll try and tag her now in the Discord server. We didn't really talk about much between the guys in the midfield there, because all the action kicked off at the front of the field. But yeah, there was some great
Yeah,
moves
there
being
was a lot
made.
of time gaps, wasn't there? So with only 15 drivers, there was a lot of space on the track, other than the top 5 or 6. So not a lot going on behind them.
Going to mention Craig as well, just silent in that race, finished in P4, so great drive from him in the McLaren. But I think the two are here. I think Lizana Zera doesn't really join parties for interviews, so just want to say congratulations P2 for Lizana Zera. I think that's her fourth podium of the season. But yeah, what a drive from the Spanish driver. And we move on to Glowstick then. So Glowstick, 6 second time for the teammate, and I bet you
Yeah,
thought you'd be thrown off the podium due to that.
yeah. It was until the final lap where I noticed, like, oh, I'm gonna be P3 here. Yeah, because Craig going fourth. What a great drive from him, by the way. Was too far behind to give me any worries. But yeah, another podium. I can't complain. I'm very happy with the result. Honestly, I didn't even think I'll be near the podium today, so I'm happy.
I'll turn you up because I can barely hear you. It's not your fault, it's my fault because, yeah, I'll explain it later to you. It's not,
Looks like you opted to start on the hard compound tire, right? How did you find
Yeah.
them?
I found him pretty decent around like when they got into the groove of him, like they felt pretty good. But then I think me and Harry were experiencing the same issue, where it's like towards like maybe lap 10 or something, they just start going off the cliff really, and they just
Yeah.
started sliding a little bit. But it was manageable. But I had to turn up the diff by a click. But apart from that, they felt pretty nice.
Interesting to know, yeah. Because I've seen a couple of drivers, I think Lozana Sarah used the medium to soft strategy, and it worked pretty well for her. So I think there's not a lot of difference in the mediums and the hard tyres around here.
Mm.
were you ever thinking about the soft compound tyres, Glowstick? Like, did you ever think those tyres could make it towards the end?
The See, I wanted to go a bit more risky, and go with a soft spot. I wanted to kind of undercut the leaders a little bit. So I went. I think I picked like lap 13 to go into the mediums, and towards the end, I found a bit more pace in them, and that's how I just pulled out a little bit of a gap towards me, and I think it was Sofian behind at the time, or maybe Palmer in the final lap. But yeah, I just managed to pull out that little bit of a gap, and yeah, can't really say much else. But I did tell you today, Jamie, I would be on the podium, even though I was kind of joking. But hey, we take it, we take it.
It was looking unlikely due to those 6-second tap penalties, but Sofian had his own penalties too, and further behind Basil Fox, I think, he underfueled the car, so ran out of fuel towards the end and had his own instance. King Panda too, spunk went out of stern. Not quite sure what happened there. If any of you saw it, just
I saw it.
What happened to him?
They had, I think King and maybe, I think it was Baza. I think they had a little bit of contact. But I didn't see exactly what happened. I just saw someone spin, and they were side by side through Stowe. And I was like, but yeah.
But did you expect all of those penalties that you're going to be on the podium today? Like, because I know you were fighting with Lozano very hard. You were going for it at Maggis and Beckett. It's not really a place you want to fight. You almost got very close to satisfying her, but you almost did. But I was lucky not to do it. But yeah, do you think being a bit too aggressive as well just cost you as well? Because like going very wide into like Cops and Stowe that pitch up those penalties as well. So I think with the penalty situation, you just pushed a bit too hard. Do you think?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I just think I pushed a bit too hard. But as I said, towards the end, like maybe like 6 laps towards the end, I was thinking, I'm not going to get a podium here. But I was happy I led the race again. Like, I don't know, but it was just like, I'm leading the race. I don't care if I don't get on the podium. If I do, then fair enough. But yeah, and then on the final lap, I noticed like P4 or Craigo was too far behind. So yeah, very happy with the result, as I said.
I'm surprised you led the last part of the race because those guys behind were on the soft compound tyres. Sofian wasn't really looking like he was pressurising you. He was dipping in and out of DRS range, but actually you kept him at bay. You also kept Palmer at bay, although he got past Sofian at lap 25. So despite those guys being on the soft compound tyres, you still had great pace. So you should be very happy with your pace tonight. Consistency obviously needs to be proved on, but in terms of overall pace, that was good.
Yeah, thank you, and well done to Harry as well. TGT 1-3, so yeah, very happy.
Yeah, it is indeed. As we move on to Harry Palmer, also before we move on to him, Glowstick, how are you feeling for Miami next week?
Oh, Miami, that's a difficult track, but I said last week I wasn't expecting to do good, so yeah, I don't know.
A completely different track and not really a great track overall in racing, but we move on to Harry Palmer, and Palmer, mate, congratulations on the win tonight. You drove a phenomenal race. I liked your battles with Sofian, Basil as well. We saw Lozano and Sarah going side by side into Brooklands and Luffield. Just talk us through those battles, mate, because they were incredible to watch.
Yeah, they were all quite difficult, especially when it got to the end. I was on 1 lap fresher soft, but it was always still going to be a struggle. Yeah, just trying to pick my battles. I've found out in the last few races that's the best way to overtake, especially at Spain. I weren't trying to overtake, and it put me in the win. So I think I win podium, something. But yeah, it was a difficult fight all the way through the field, especially against Lozano, Sarah, Sofian especially at the start. It was all great battles, just very difficult. Long race as well.
Yeah, it was indeed. And when you pitted on the soft compound tyres, you had a gap like 3 seconds towards Lozano. You had 1 lap fresher tyres in comparison to her. So also she had DRS, I think, on the back of Baza. So did you think that you made a mistake because you're quite far behind at that point? Did you think at all you could catch up?
Well, I was going to originally follow them into the pits, and then I stayed out because I was confused over what tyres to go on. Because it got to the end of the stint, and I was wondering why Sophie weren't pitting, and it got to the softs. And then when I realised, when I came out of the pits, I thought I weren't going to make it, only because obviously the tyres were cold and there just wasn't any pace. And it got to about the third lap when I set the fastest lap, and the tyres just became alive again. And yeah, just gave me a lot of pace.
Your battles between you and Lozano have been very respectful. Like, what is it with you two, like, keeping it so clean and battling for the third time in this race? Australia, Japan, and now Silverstone. Like, you
I
just
don't
keep it
know.
clean between each other
I
all
don't
the
know what it
time.
is. There's just a few, sorry. There's just a few drivers that I think I know who I can fight. And as we saw today, there was I think one or two that I know I just can't fight because it just ends up in some sort of collision. Yeah, we kind of know to be respectful. I know it's common that obviously in racing you keep it respectful, but generally in CRL, this is just you know who to pick your battles with, and I know that I can keep it clean and also fighting Sarah.
Lap 25, I bet you were very nervous going side by side with Lozano because it's so easy to lose traction, especially going onto the rubber as well. So I bet on lap 25, fighting with her, you were very nervous, weren't you?
I was nervous at every fight. There was no doubt about that. It's always nerve-wracking going side by side at any corner, especially through the fast ones like cops. There was a few times where I had to back out from overtaking Sofian just by lifting off the throttle. It nearly cost me another position, but I knew that I'd be able to make it back.
Has your championship aspirations come alive now? Because you said in Abu Dhabi when you tumbled down the order, you said, "I'm not going to win the championship. It's too late now. Baz has got this in the bag." But actually, in this race, I told you never to give up. I told you things could happen. It could swing around left, right, and centre. It has done all season with Baz having his own problems, and you having your own problems too, and also King Panda. But he has more problems. He had more problems than both of you. But yeah, is your championship hopes now starting to come alive once again?
After this race, yeah. Before they weren't, especially when Basil was just so much quicker. And then I've just read the Discord. I think he ran out of fuel towards the end.
Yeah, he did.
So
So he ran out of fuel on the final lap and crossed the line out of the points.
yeah,
So
I think
by my calculations, Harry, you're 3 points clear in the championship now.
yeah, it's just thinking of it. 2 laps before, I thought I'd lose the championship, and then it got across the line, and I just thought Basil was losing more positions, and I just thought, right, okay, I think I've still got
Swings
another
and
chance.
roundabouts, mate. It all happens.
Kaylin, you got any questions for Palmer?
Not at this stage, but one thing to mention is, yeah, you drove with a lot of patience. We noticed, and it was great to see, especially with no safety car. It was a long race for you guys without the safety car brakes. So usually you're used to that here in Tier 4, but today much
The
different.
Yeah.
sitting on the grid waiting for the lights. I realised I'd probably gone to the toilet and I forgot, and it got to about lap 20, and I was trying not to. So close.
Well, congratulations both.
Thanks.
How are you
Thank
feeling
you.
for Miami, Palmer?
No, not good at all. I don't like Miami. I just think it produces really bad racing.
It's horrible.
There's a lot, yeah. There's a lot of corners where it just kills all the speed. I think that one of the only good overtaking spots is down the main straight. So if you got into turn one and then down the curved straight going into sector three, I think anything before that, yeah, there's no chance.
Yeah, the heavy braking zone, but after the DRS is the main place to overtake really, and turn one like you said. But we'll see what happens next week. But Kaylin, appreciate you commentating with me, mate.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Always a pleasure.
And we'll round it off there. So that is it done for Tier 4 as we finally got the race going. Should be in the F123 cars, but due to the update, we're back in the multiplayer cars like we were at the beginning of the game. And join me back for Tier 1 at 8 o'clock for the British Grand Prix as Tier 4 moves on to Miami next week on Monday.